Get your cigars out, 12s. The Seattle Seahawks freaking did it. Despite being a team that was projected to finish as the worst in the NFC West, not only did the Seahawks win the NFC West, but tonight they also clinched the home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. We freaking did it. This is Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and it might be a little bit bold for me to say we did it because I wasn't out on the field. You weren't out on the field unless you're one of the Seahawks players that are watching this. But the Seahawks found a way to find a way again. They continue to push through the mistakes that they make until they get a victory out on the field. And that's what makes this team so beautiful. They have flaws, and it feels like it's easy to find them and point them out. Yet at the end of the day, you have a team that is number one in the NFC with a 14-3 record, and they continue to beat some of the best teams in the National Football League. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. But man, oh man, am I excited to get into a few of those today. All we do is win. Shout out DJ Khaled. Do you love when the Seahawks win? Do you love that the Seahawks won the NFC West? Do you love that the Seahawks are the number one seed in the NFC? Do you love that every other team in the NFC now has to come through Lumen Field? Then smash that thumbs up button. Hit that like button and like the video. Here's your offensive performance for the Seahawks. And there are 2 points that we have to talk about that are not glowing, that are not as good as we wish they were. But there are 3 that are really freaking good. First of all, let's talk about the total yards. The Seahawks dominated this game. They controlled the ball, they ran highly effectively, and when they did throw the football with Sam Darnold found the open receiver, and they got the most out of everything that they could possibly want. I was very impressed with his day, but what's most important for Sam Darnold? Look at the 0 on the interceptions. I know he almost fumbled the ball away. I don't completely blame him for that, but 0 on the interceptions. 0. You came into this game where you couldn't turn the ball over, and Seattle didn't. And the difference between this game being 13-3 and possibly 13-10 or much, much worse was a turnover. That was an interception. Now, it was a great play, and I don't blame Brock Purdy for it, and I don't blame CMC really for it. But it was a turnover for the 49ers that allowed the Seahawks to go down and ice this game. Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker had some of the most impressive rushing attacks in this game. They ran the ball effectively, and it was fearless. It was fearless. I can't give away 2 MVPs for this game, but if I could, it would be to Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. 74 yards on the ground, outdone by Kenneth Walker's 97. The offensive line was opening up holes that I could have driven through. This rushing attack throughout the whole year, it feels like they haven't been able to hit. Finally, we hit. Finally, they figured it out. Finally, the Seahawks get the rushing attack going. And JSN, I know it was a light game for him. It doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter. When you needed him to make big plays, he did. And shoot, he's a pinky toe away from having a touchdown himself. JSN showed up when you needed him. Now, there are 2 issues with this game that we do have to talk about. The points, it wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough because you didn't score in the red zone. 0 for 3. 0 for 3 in the red zone. On your first drive, on a 1st and goal, instead of just running the football down their throat. We tried to throw, and that was dumb. And then the next 2 times we tried to kick field goals, and Jason Myers misses 2. I'll tell you right now, though, I do trust Jason Myers to get it done when it matters most. I do still trust him. But boy, oh boy, did that scare me a little bit. What was your one-word reaction to this ball game? Let me know in the comment section. I think mine is going to be glorious. It was a glorious game. It was a glorious win. And boy, oh boy, does it feel good. But you know what's most important? Job's not finished. Still got 3 more to go. Job's not finished. Here's what the 49ers offense looked like, and it was hot garbage, ew, stinky, gross. 49ers really couldn't get much going other than one drive, and it led to an accidental interception that, I'll be honest, it just kind of fell in Drake Thomas's lap, but he came away with a great one there. The total yards for the 49ers, most of that came on, again, 1 to 2 drives. 1 to 2 drives where they really got going. Time of possession was completely flipped in this game from that week 1 matchup. Seattle suffocated the 49ers and didn't let them score in the red zone. Brock Purdy, I actually didn't think that he had the worst game ever, but it wasn't a good game by his standards, right? He didn't do as well as he probably wishes that he hopes he could have. And you want to talk about a bad game by their standards? Only getting 57 total yards from Christian McCaffrey. I can't think of the last time that happened. I'm at a loss for words that he had that many yards. Seattle's defense did a fantastic job of getting in his face, causing a lot of pressure, and suffocating Christian McCaffrey when he was trying to get out in the flats. No one missed tackles. Nicky Manwari didn't miss tackles in this game. Nicky Manwari was all over CMC. He didn't miss a thing. The kid was special. You needed a big game, he showed up with one. When you needed to get pressure on Brock Purdy, Derek Hall was there for you. He missed last week because of a suspension. He came back and he balled the you-know-what out. Uchenna Nwosu, he only had 1 tackle, but it was important because it was that sack. It was a hit in the backfield, man. This team is so freaking good. This team is so freaking good. I just love everything that they've been doing. I just love everything that they've been doing. Devin Witherspoon didn't let anyone get open. Not a soul. No one got open against him, and when they did, he put them in the dirt, man. This team is so freaking good. That's why this 49ers offense looked atrocious. An offense that had been scoring 35.5 plus points over their last 5 or so games. You made them your you-know-what. It was like a little brother playing against a big brother. We're going to dive into my takeaways for this game here in just a moment, but I need to let you know about the sponsor of today's video, and that is our good friends over on Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. New feature alert! Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Find your community on Prize Picks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like us and tailor-fade our picks with just one click. Here was my 3-pick power play for the action tonight. CMC more on his rush plus receiving TDs. JSN more on his rush plus receiving TDs. Sam Darnold more on his pass yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, when we go through the key takeaways, I'm going to go through this point by point. The Seahawks had a fantastic start to this game. And here's the thing about a great start. Seattle has not had one of those in probably 3 or 4 weeks, I would say. It feels like this Seahawks team has really started slow, and they continue to start slow again and again and again. But when you needed them to show up in a big game, in a big moment, they start fast. They grind the ball down offensively and get themselves into a position where they were about to score. Now, they didn't finish, but they put themselves in that position. Defensively, they completely shut out that 49ers offense, and they had to punt the ball after a very quick 3-and-out. It's a great start, and you're going to have to do that in the postseason. We do need to finish better. When you look at number 2, we need to finish better. It's not good enough. You cannot be 0 for 3 in the low red zone. You cannot be 0 for 3 in the red zone. If the Seahawks are going to win in the postseason, 0 for 3 will not be good enough. It was good enough tonight. And honestly, you shouldn't be kicking 2 field goals. Really, you probably should have kicked 3. You can't do that. You got to find a way to get in the end zone. I don't know if Sam Darnold needs to find A.J. Barner more, go to JSN, Cooper Kupp, or we just continue to run the football because we were running the football so well in that game. But man, oh man, you got to finish better. Third, the run game was huge. We were told that Clint Kubiak was bringing in a rushing attack that was going to be the main focal point. And for most of this year, the rushing attack wasn't really the focal point. The rushing attack was like a mandatory evil that you had to have so that Seattle could use the play action pass. The rushing attack was there tonight. The offensive line road graded. Zach Charbonnet looked like an absolute animal. He ran through arm tackles. No one could bring him down just by themselves. 17 carries on the ground. It was just what the doctor ordered. It was just what the Seahawks needed. Kenneth Walker got over 1,000 yards on the season in the ground game. That is huge for him going into a year where he's going to be a free agent. He was 6 yards a carry. He looked like Kenneth Walker, did when he was a rookie. He looks so freaking good the last 3 weeks. Kenneth Walker was huge. And if this rushing attack is going to look like this in the postseason, we are going to be very, very happy. We have the best defense in the National Football League. That's bar none, hands down. I don't need to hear anything else from anyone else. This defense was lights out. And they didn't even do a great job, I felt like, at getting to the passer. Derek Hall had a sack in this game. Cool. Jaron Reed was able to come out and get a sack in this game, which I think might have been the most impressive because he had a club on his hand. Uchenna Nwosu had a sack in this game. That was really the only pressure that you got on Brock Purdy. That was it. You got 3 sacks. One of them, he just ran right into Jaron Reed. But it felt like the coverage was suffocating. It felt like Nicky Manwari was all over the place. And I should say this about the pass rush. While they didn't get to Brock Purdy, they made it very clear that he was uncomfortable. And then when he did throw, Nicky Manwari didn't let anyone catch the ball. Reek Woolen started off on fire, making a couple of big plays in this one. I thought he was about to have a pick 6. Devin Witherspoon was all over the yard. Big play after big play after big play. Guys didn't get away from Josh Jobe. Ty Okada made a couple of big saving tackles. This defense was all over the place and where they needed to be. That's why we're winning games. And that's why we can win a championship. Because the Seahawks have the best defense in the NFL. And the last key takeaway is the most important. If I had a cigar, I would break it out right now. In fact, I probably should have. We are the best team in the NFC, and it's not close. We are the best team in the NFC, and we proved it by beating the Rams and by beating the 49ers. We controlled our own destiny, and Seattle did not let go of it. Shout out to the best team in the NFC, and shout out to the best fans here at Chat Sports. Grade the Seahawks' performance last night, A, B, C, D, or F in the comment section. I tell you right now, it was a strong B+. I need Seattle to finish more. But it was a strong B+. Here is what the current NFC playoff picture looks like. Now, remember, there can be some changes, specifically at that 5 and 6 spot. If LA beats the Cardinals, they will jump the San Francisco 49ers and they will become the 5 seed. The 49ers would become the 6 seed. We also are still looking over in the NFC South. If Tampa Bay wants to hold on to that 4th spot, the Atlanta Falcons cannot beat the New Orleans Saints. Tampa Bay needs the New Orleans Saints to win for them to be in. If the Falcons win, the Carolina Panthers would be in. But essentially, this is what your playoff format is going to look like. Seattle can play the 4th seed, the 5th seed, the 6th seed, or the 7th seed. What will happen is the playoffs will reset and the lowest seeded team will play the Seahawks. Seattle's going to get a nice week off where we can get some guys healthy. And I think that's absolutely massive. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the video. Make sure that you subscribe to Seahawks Today. We are going to be here throughout the entire Seahawks playoff run. We got daily content coming out you don't want to miss out on, so make sure you hit that sub button. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're number 1, baby! But there's a lot more work to be done. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.